Anthros versus the Libernovo Omni. Which is the better chair and which one should you buy? I'm gonna make this the easiest choice you've made all week. And I'll tell you up front, I actually really like both of these chairs, but they both have some big limitations that will absolutely ruin them for certain people. So you definitely want to pick the right one, because at their core, these are two chairs with two very different philosophies. Anthros was designed by a small team of medical professionals who actually started in the wheelchair industry, designing chairs for the people who spend the most time sitting. So their whole ethos is based around one goal: making it easy and comfortable to sit correctly. To achieve this goal, they created a unique two-part back system that they claim is healthier, better for your spine, and guaranteed to relieve back pain or your money back. But does it actually work? The Libernovo Omni, on the other hand, is the viral new chair that blew up overnight with more than $10 million in supporter funding, more than any other chair brand yet, and they're shaking up the industry right now by offering a top-tier chair at a mid-tier price. And one of their biggest innovations so far is this high-tech electronic lumbar support and massage feature, which has the internet kind of divided on how they feel about it. But we'll get into all that in just a bit. Because first, let's take a look at the aesthetic design of each chair. Anthros has been around for a few years, so they've currently got a wider selection of color options. The whole chair is pretty modular, so you can mix and match colors of the frame, the cushions, and the back panels. And you don't need to stress too much about getting this right, because the back panels actually pop off and can be replaced if you change your mind later on. The Libernovo Omni is not as customizable, but the colors that they do have so far are very nice. And based on the rate at which this brand is expanding, I'd imagine that they're gonna have way more color options on the way. But the great thing about both Anthros and Libernovo is that they can both look cool as a gaming chair while also looking professional enough to work as an office chair, which is a hard balance that most chair brands fail to strike. But of course, one of these chairs costs nearly $2,000, and while there are some tricks to get either chair a bit cheaper, which I'll share later, no one should be spending that kind of money on something just because it looks cool. So we gotta talk about ergonomics. And this is where I think Anthros really shines. Anthros is a chair that looks a bit complex with like 4 knobs and levers total. 2 of these knobs are to adjust height, tilt, and recline tension, but the real showstoppers are the other 2 knobs, which independently move the upper and lower back cushions forward or back. Now, honestly, a free 15-minute video call with one of their on-staff therapists can explain this much better than I can, but basically, you're gonna wanna sit with your butt all the way back in the chair and then move the lower back panel forward until you can feel it gently tilting your pelvis forward. Then you're gonna move the upper back panel forward until it reaches your shoulder blades and you feel supported in a comfortable upright position. Now, when I first got my Anthros chair, this did take me a few times to get right, but when I got it dialed in perfectly, I had this holy shit moment that changed the way I think about sitting forever. I can genuinely say that while I do have other critiques of this chair, Anthros absolutely nails ergonomics. Just 1 year of working from home in this thing has completely alleviated the back pain and poor posture I was starting to develop after my previous 5 years hunching over my laptop from the couch. Meanwhile, the Libernovo Omni chair takes a completely different approach to ergonomics. Their most unique feature is this electronic piston in the back, which can be adjusted up or down to shift the position of the lumbar support. It's also got this massage feature, which I would describe as more of a gentle 5-minute spinal stretch. It's kind of nice, but nothing too crazy, and probably not the main reason that most people would buy this chair. Personally, I don't play around with the electronic lumbar support too much. I just like to leave it at like pretty close to the lowest position, and at about 6 feet tall, that's where it feels ergonomic for me. But ergonomics is only one piece of the puzzle, because it's not just back pain that distracts us from being productive at work. We also need to consider comfort. Now, I used to love working out of cafes, but a few years ago, I completely stopped because most cafes have terrible chairs. So after a few hours, my ass would start to get itchy and numb from the hardwood seats. And I really hope that's relatable, otherwise that's a really strange thing to share on the internet. But time is money, so if I'm getting distracted by an uncomfortable seat every day, all those hours add up and have a real cost. The good news is both Anthros and Libernovo are extremely comfortable chairs, just for kind of different use cases in my opinion. Starting with Anthros, this is probably the best seat cushion I have ever sat on. I went with their fabric option over the leather, and I've got no regrets at all. The high density foam is perfect for sitting for long periods of time, and it's so comfortable that I completely forget I'm even sitting in a chair, which is, in my opinion, the hallmark sign of a great chair. Compared to this, Libernovo's first chairs were a little bit softer at launch. I would say those were still very comfortable, but my concern was how that soft foam would actually hold up over time. Since then, which was just a few months ago, they've moved forward using firmer cushions and higher quality fabric in their new chairs, which is a nice improvement that makes it feel more like my Anthros cushions. They're really good, but for 8+ hours of work, I do prefer the way my butt just sort of sinks into the Anthros cushion. However, Libernovo does have two big features that could make it more comfortable than Anthros for certain users. The first is Libernovo's headrest, which is legitimately S tier, and it adjusts up and down, forward and back, and pivots to support your neck in any position. And when you combine these with Libernovo's 4 preset recline options, going all the way back to a nearly flat 160-degree recline, it quickly becomes one of the best gaming chairs on the market right now. In my opinion, each recline position pretty much perfectly matches a different activity. So like the upright position is great for getting work done. The slightly reclined position is perfect for PC gaming. A deeper recline feels best for console gaming. And fully reclined works great for napping, watching TV, or handheld gaming. Another great thing about Libernovo is this unique feature it has where the armrests just sort of move with you as you recline. It's kind of hard to explain, but it really does make a big difference and feels seamless when you kick back into a deeper recline while gaming or something with a Switch or Steam Deck. They just kind of glide back with you. Although, one common critique of Libernovo's armrests is that they pivot just a bit too easily with no locking mechanism in place. This hasn't bothered me personally, but it is something worth mentioning. Other than that, both chairs' 4D armrests are fantastic, being easily adjusted up, down, in, out, forward, back, and pivoting inward and outward. Both Anthros and Libernovo are going to be extremely comfortable chairs for most users. But we still have to factor in the cost and value of both of these chairs. And there is a big price difference between the two. And since I know neither of these chairs are cheap, I'll drop some discount links down in the description below to help you get the absolute best deal on either chair. And using those links may help support the channel at no extra cost to you, which I always appreciate. At just under $1,000, Libernovo is the more affordable chair of the two, with many people, myself included, calling this a top-tier chair at a mid-tier price. Libernovo includes a 5-year warranty on the chair itself and a 2-year limited warranty on the electronic components, which is a bit shorter than I'd like, especially for the electronics, but it's far from the worst I've seen. Anthros, on the other hand, is quite a bit more expensive at nearly $2,000, but I do think that extra cost shines through in the overall build quality, and sitting in it feels like a long-term investment into your health. Plus, Anthros also comes with a longer warranty period of 12 years for added peace of mind, which is pretty much best in the industry. Now, in general, I'm a pretty frugal guy. I'm not a very materialistic person, so I don't like spending money on things that don't directly improve the quality of my life or help me make more money. But a really good piece of advice I heard once is that it's always smart to invest in the things that come between you and the ground. So good shoes, a good mattress, and a good chair. We spend about 1/3 of our lives in each of these things, and if any of them are low quality or not properly supportive, we wind up paying for it down the road with health issues like back pain. I'm also a big believer in the buy once, cry once philosophy because I started my work from home journey in cheaper chairs, and while you might save some money up front, you often wind up needing to replace cheap chairs after a year or two when they start to break down or peel apart. With that said, I also don't believe anyone should go into debt over a chair. So if you don't have the money for Libernovo or Anthros right now, it's okay to hold off for a bit until you're in a better financial position to make the upgrade. They'll still be there when you're ready. But if you are ready to take the leap, I'm gonna help you decide exactly which one you should buy. The first question you need to ask yourself is what your budget is. I'm gonna keep some links down in the description updated with the current best deals on the internet, but Anthros is still gonna be considerably more expensive than Libernovo. The only time I think you should legitimately consider stretching your budget within reason is if you're dealing with significant back pain from long hours of sitting, in which case I think it might actually be worth spending HSA or FSA funds on Anthros, which should be eligible as an FDA registered chair. But if it's out of your budget, it's out of your budget. The second question you need to ask yourself is is, what are your deal breakers in a chair? Two of the most common ones with these chairs are the lack of a headrest on Anthros and the short electronics warranty on Libernovo, and each one brings a valid concern. Anthros just doesn't offer a headrest right now, and no one really knows how Libernovo's electronic components will hold up over time yet. If either of those facts are deal breakers for you, you might have your answer. If not, the next thing you should ask yourself is, what do you plan to use this chair for? Is this meant to be more of a gaming chair or a work from home office chair? Because the way I see it, Anthros is an S-tier office chair and an A-tier gaming chair. Libernovo is an S-tier gaming chair and an A-tier office chair. Both are fantastic for either purpose, but the reason I keep both of them in my home is that, in my humble opinion, they excel at different use cases. Believe me, I wish they didn't, because keeping them both takes up a lot of space, but Anthros is my daily driver for working like 8 hours a day, undistracted in maximum flow state, while Libernovo is the gaming throne I hop into when I want to be fully reclined and relaxed while console gaming or watching TV. Honestly, I love owning both chairs and can easily recommend either one, but since it would be very financially irresponsible for me to recommend you buy both, I'll just say, choose the one more aligned with your use case. If your priorities are long hours of focused upright work or PC gaming, alleviating back pain, or correcting your posture, go with Anthros. If your priorities are long hours of console gaming or watching TV, kicking back with a handheld game system, or having an S-tier headrest, go with Libernovo. And if you're leaning toward either chair but still craving a deeper dive into the specs and features, you can check out my full review of either one right here. Otherwise, if you know which one you want, don't forget to save some money with those discount links down in the description.